Hello, this is Tranna Wintour. Welcome to another episode of my vlog for queer comics. So today we are talking about bombing, our worst moments on stage as comedians. And of course this is a topic that I have a lot to say about. I would like to start by saying that I've always hated the word bombing. I know a lot of comedians will disagree with me, but I don't really believe in bombing. I think bombing is when you are unprepared, you are letting whatever emotional problems you're having interfere with your performance. When you don't bring your A game, that's bombing. But when you're performing and giving it your all and bringing so much to the table, to the audience, and ready to give so much, but the audience is just not with you, I don't see that as bombing. It's just a missed connection. I always compare performing on stage to meeting someone for the first time. So basically, every time you get up on stage, it's like meeting someone for the first time. And sometimes in your life, there are people that you meet and you instantly have this great chemistry, this great connection, and right off the bat, you feel like you've known each other for 100 years and you're able to have a great conversation and just really connect. And other times you meet people in your life and it's not to say that they're not great or you're not great, but there is just no chemistry, there is no connection, there is no common ground, and so whatever conversation you're having with this person never lifts off the ground, it never goes anywhere. And that's basically what getting up on stage is and talking to an audience. Sometimes you get up there and you have this amazing chemistry with the audience and they're with you and you're able to take things to another level and it's fantastic. And then other times you get up there and the audience is just not with you or you're not with them. There's a chemistry that's missing. And I don't see that as bombing. I just don't. It's just the chemistry's off, and that's not the performer's fault, and that's not the audience's fault. There's just a missed connection. That's happened to me many times. Thankfully, most of the time I get up on stage, I am able to make a connection with the audience, and they are able to relate to me in some capacity, and, we have a great time together, and there's no greater feeling in the world than having that connection with an audience. But of course, it happens that that's not there. That happened to me during my Fringe Festival run. There was one show in particular where, it was just difficult to make that connection with the audience. And when that happens, you gotta shift gears a little bit. I don't necessarily believe that you have to change everything that you've planned to do, but, maybe just take a little step back, readjust, go out to the audience, reach out to them, find a way to bring them in. Sometimes you do that and it still doesn't happen, and, there's nothing you can do about that. Sometimes, though, I've noticed for myself that the greatest moments are when there is an audience that you don't have that instant connection with, but you do reach out to them, you do find a way of pulling them in, and when it works, there's no greater feeling. Usually it involves having to be a bit more improvisational, step out of your act, step out of what you have planned, and just really be in the moment and talk to your audience, talk with them, instigate a dialogue. It's easy to get up there and give a monologue. I know that for me when I first started, that was my approach, get up there and do my monologue, but I think comedy is a dialogue, and, even though you're the only one talking, hopefully, on stage, it is about a back and forth. It's about a conversation. But let's talk about my worst moment on stage ever, which actually happened just a month ago. So when I first started performing 2 years ago as a transgender person, performing in these very straight places, I was expecting a lot of prejudice. I was expecting to be misunderstood. I was expecting a fight, basically. I didn't think that I would have an easy time. But I was very fortunate that when I started performing, I was very quickly embraced by my audiences and embraced by my fellow comedians, and I'm so thankful for that. And I never encountered any of that bigotry or prejudice that I was really expecting to face until a month ago. So it took 2 years for something like this to happen. So I was performing at one of our greatest venues, Comedy Works, 1238 Bishop. Always amazing shows going on every weekend, Thursday to Saturday. Check it out. Amazing venue. That's where I first started. And so I was there a month ago, and it was Grand Prix weekend here in Montreal, which is basically just a festival of douchebags. I mean, really, Grand Prix brings out just the douchiest guys in the city, and the douchiest people around the world. They travel here for that weekend. Oh, it's just a fucking nightmare. So I was performing on a Saturday night during Grand Prix, and we had an early show, which was fantastic, and then we had a late show. And late shows are always a little bit crazy and unpredictable. And anyway, this particular late show was packed, but it was packed with all the wrong people. So it was packed with all of these white, straight, douchebag, Grand Prix going losers. And you could sense the uncomfortableness in the room. And I remember, you know, right off the bat, within the first 5 minutes of the show, some asshole in the audience had made some kind of racist or whatever remark while the host was up there. And within the first 5 minutes of the show, the host already had to tell someone in the audience to shut the fuck up. So, you know, things were not off to a good start. And then it was my turn on stage. And when I get on stage, when I'm performing in front of packs of straight guys, which doesn't happen too often, usually, you know, audiences are pretty mixed in terms of gender and age and, you know, different backgrounds. But this was a very homogeneous, heterosexual male audience. And so when I find that when I'm performing in front of these packs of straight guys that they are just so uncomfortable by my presence. They won't even look at me. I'm like fucking Medusa when I'm up there, and they are averting their gaze, and they are sitting there with their arms crossed, looking away, just so scared to even look at me. I don't know what that is. I don't even care to analyze it. But basically, that was the energy that I was coming to when I was on stage. So, I mean, I could feel that this was not going to go well. But, you know, I'm a professional, and I want to have fun with the audience. And I'm like, you know, don't make any snap judgments. Just go up there, have a good time, give it your all. Just give, which is what I did. And as I'm up there, you know, again, I'm seeing these, you know, folded arms, these averted gazes, and I can hear, you know, muttering in the room, you know, just little insults here and there, whatever. But I keep going on until in the middle of my act, this asshole just yells out the word faggot. And I was so taken aback by it. And of course, what I'm telling you now happened in the blink of an eye. It felt like it was like 10 minutes, but I'm sure, you know, in reality it was like 2 seconds. And when he said the word faggot, just yelled it so that everyone could hear it, you know, in that moment, there was 2 things that I could do. I could either call this motherfucker out, or I could just ignore it and keep going on. But, you know, having a heckler is one thing, but having someone yell hate speech at you when you're up on stage doing your thing and working is quite another. And when I was a kid, I had that word hurled at me all the time. And my reaction was to always slink away and hide and just ignore it and pretend that it didn't hurt. And when this asshole yelled it didn't hurt me, but I was just like, who the fuck are you to dare, you know, the fuck are you to dare try to ruin this moment for me? Like, who are you to come into this space that is supposed to be about joy and laughter and entertainment and create this hostility? So I just channeled my inner Sandra Bernhard, and I just ripped this motherfucker to shreds. I am not the scared, insecure child that I used to be. I am a fucking diva, and I will fucking annihilate you if you dare try to pull anything on me, so don't even fucking try. So in that split second, I just channeled, you know, all the strength that I had in me. I channeled all the energies of my heroes, and I was just like, excuse me? Do you think anyone here appreciates your ignorance and your bigotry, you piece of shit motherfucker? This is Montreal. Get it together, alright? You worthless piece of shit loser motherfucker. Go back to Saratoga Springs. And I could hear my fellow comedians laughing in the back, and they've always been so supportive, and it was great to have them in the room sort of cheering me on in this crazy moment. But of course I didn't have the audience on my side, because everyone in the audience was basically like this guy, just as ignorant, just as hateful. And so obviously when I was yelling at this guy and cutting him down to size, it was just so crazy. I mean, where the fuck do you go from there? I just, you know, after that he was removed from the club, and I finished off my set. And I walked off stage, and of course I was shaken by the experience, but I'm proud of the way that I handled it, because it's easy to revert back to old emotional habits, and it's easy to be afraid, but, you know, when you're creating something, and you're up there, and you're giving so much to an audience, there's no fucking way that I'm gonna allow someone to ruin it. So that's my story of the worst moment on stage. But I would like to end this story and just end this discussion by saying that, you know, as a performer, there is nothing more sacred than the relationship between the performer and the audience. And the exchange of love and energy that happens when you're up there is just the most glorious feeling in the world. And no hecklers and no bigoted motherfuckers can ever ruin that. So hope you're all doing well. I'll see you soon. Bye.